Babylon, the ancient city that was once home to one of the world's most powerful empires. But did you know that Babylon was also a center of advanced engineering and secret knowledge, where scholars and mystics studied and shared their understanding of the world? Do you want to know more about the mysterious Tower of Babel, the legendary structure that was said to reach up to the heavens, or the Hanging Gardens of Babylon that became one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world? All this and the extraterrestrial connection with the Anunnaki in the new episode of Secret Origins. Welcome! From astronomy and trigonometry, mathematics to esoteric spiritual practices, Babylon was a melting point of ideas and insights that have shaped our world to this day. But how did they get this sacred revolutionary knowledge? Perhaps, as some theories speculate, they were held by some form of an advanced alien civilization. Babylon is an ancient city that lies in the heart of Mesopotamia, which is regarded as the cradle of civilization and is known for its rich cultural heritage and historical significance. Babylon has been a center of trade, religion, and politics for thousands of years and has left behind a legacy that continues to influence modern civilization. Before we continue, here are some interesting facts about Babylon. Babylon was home to one of the world's first written legal codes, the Code of Hammurabi, which dates back to 1754 BCE. The Babylonians were skilled in irrigation, using canals and leaves to control the flow of water and increase agricultural productivity. Babylon was one of the world's earliest cities to have street lighting, using oil lamps to light its streets at night. The Babylonians had a sophisticated system of mathematics and astronomy, including the use of a base 60-number system and the development of a calendar with 12 lunar months. The city of Babylon was rebuilt and re-inhabited multiple times throughout history, with each successive civilization leaving its mark on the city's architecture and culture. So how did Babylon become such an advanced city? Babylon was located on the lower Euphrates River in southern Mesopotamia. The earliest known settlement in the region dates back to around 4000 BCE, but it was not until the 18th century BC that Babylon became a major political and economic center. We know so much about the history of Babylonia because of the excavation and deciphering of huge numbers of cuneiform tablets that have been found in the past 200 years. The word cuneiform means wedge-shaped. It refers to a system of writing whereby scribes would take a wedge-shaped stylus and impress signs on wet clay tablets. Those tablets could later be fired and hardened and preserve what was ever written on them. Deciphering these cuneiform tablets was next to impossible until a key discovery of thousands of tablets was made at an Assyrian palace in March of 1843. These clay tablets provide some of the first tangible evidence of an ancient kingdom that have been believed to exist thousands of years ago. Babylon was the capital of the First Babylonian Empire, which was established in 1792 BC by the Amorite king Hammurabi. Under his rule, the city grew in size and importance and became known for its sophisticated legal system, which was codified in the famous Code of Hammurabi. In the Louvre Museum, there is a large stone pillar called Stela that depicts the Babylonian king Hammurabi, who is talking to a divine being. Below them is the most significant legal text in the ancient world, the Code of Hammurabi. It was created around 1754 BC and consists of 282 laws that cover a wide range of subjects, including family law, business and commerce, property rights, and criminal law. This is where we get the idea of the principle eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, which meant that the punishment for a crime should be proportional to the harm caused. The Code of Hammurabi was designed to promote justice and protect the weak and vulnerable, and it served as a model for later legal systems in the region. But what is interesting is that the Code of Hammurabi is claimed to have been given to King Hammurabi from Shamash, the Babylonian god of justice. According to the legend, the Code of Hammurabi was dictated to him by a being that came from the sky. Who was this god Shamash? Was the king actually advised by an extraterrestrial being? And do we know more about the deities that were worshipped by the Babylonian? The religious practices of the ancient Babylonians have long been a subject of fascination for scholars and historians. The city was home to a complex pantheon of gods and goddesses, each with their own areas of influence and corresponding rituals and ceremonies, most of which remain shrouded in mystery. What is so special about the Babylonian gods? The religious system of the whole region of Mesopotamia was polytheism and involved the veneration of multitude of deities, including both male and female gods, who were often portrayed in human form and possessed distinct personalities. Perhaps the most prominent of the Babylonian gods was Marduk, who was believed to be the chief deity and the patron god of Babylon. Marduk was associated with a number of different aspects of life, including war, fertility, and wisdom, and was often depicted as a fierce warrior wielding a bow and arrow. Another important goddess in the Babylonian pantheon was Ishtar, who was the goddess of love, fertility, and war. Ishtar was worshipped through elaborate rituals and ceremonies, including the sacred marriage rite in which the high priest of Babylon would symbolically marry Ishtar in order to ensure fertility and prosperity for the city. Now, both Marduk and Ishtar were part of the group of heavenly gods called the Anunnaki, who were believed to be the offspring of Anu, the sky god, who descended from the sky. The Anunnaki are among the most mysterious and powerful beings of sacred tradition and mythology. The Sumerians described them as humanoid but non-physical spirit beings who had the capability of morphing or phasing into human form. They came to Earth on a special mission to bring wisdom and also to mine certain materials from the Earth plane itself. In ancient cuneiform texts, the Anunnaki are depicted as possessing immense knowledge and power, having the ability to live for thousands of years and mastery over all sciences and arts. But their origin and the source of their knowledge is a mystery. Were they really beings from beyond Earth? The Anunnaki taught humans their way of life and established monarchs. Now, here is where it gets interesting. The kings would act as their emissaries on Earth and rule the people according to ancient principles. Just maybe the Code of Hammurabi was really a set of rules given by the alien beings that came from the sky. The Babylonians practiced a variety of divination and astrological practices, which were based on the belief that the movements of the stars and planets could reveal important information about the future. These practices included reading the positions of the stars and planets, interpreting dreams, and performing various rituals to appease the gods and gain their favor. In 1849, on the eastern bank of the Tigris River near the city of Mosul, northern Iraq, a team of archaeologists from the British Museum discovers thousands of clay tablets containing cuneiform script they believe to have been written by the Babylonian priests in the 7th century BC. Among the tablets were two mysterious relics that have become known as the Babylonian star catalogs. These texts are considered some of the earliest recorded observations of the night sky and provide valuable insights into the astronomy and astrology of the Babylonian civilization. According to translations of the ancient texts, these tablets describe the precise movements of various celestial bodies, now known as the zodiac. The zodiac was used for a practice known as horoscopy, which was based on the belief that the positions of the stars and planets at the time of a person's birth could reveal important information about their life and destiny. Babylonian astronomy and astrology had a significant influence on other ancient cultures, including the Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans. In the ancient world, the zodiac wheel was seen as a way to communicate with the gods. The Babylonian system was later adopted by the Greeks and Romans, who introduced their own mythology and symbolism to the zodiac. One notable example is the magnificent Dendera zodiac, which is housed in the Hathor Temple of Dendera Temple Complex. It is a bas-relief carving found on the ceiling of the temple's entrance hall and is a stunning representation of the Egyptian view of the cosmos, featuring a map of the stars and constellations as they were understood at that time. The circular zodiac is divided into 36 decans, each representing 10 days of the Egyptian calendar, with a total of 360 days. The ancient Greeks also viewed astrology as the language of the gods and believed that the movements of the planets conveyed a significant message about life on Earth and individuals. The constellations were associated with important historical and mythological events and were even linked to the creation of humanity itself. Animals were assigned as symbols for the journey through the sky, and various mythic and historical traditions connect with particular star system or constellations. One of the most significant Babylonian mathematical text is the Plimpton 322 tablet, named after the American publisher and philanthropist George Arthur Plimpton, who acquired it in the early 19th. The tablet dates back to around 8000 BC and contains a list of 15 columns of numbers, which are arranged in rows and are written in cuneiform script. These numbers are believed to represent Pythagorean triples, which are sets of 3 whole numbers that satisfy the whole theorem. The Pythagorean theorem states that in a right-angled triangle, the square of the length of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the lengths of the 2 other sides. Plimpton 322 is significant because it is one of the most accurate mathematical texts and the earliest examples of the use of mathematical tables in history. So how did these ancient people obtain all this vast amount of information about mathematics and about the stars? Was it only through observations? Some suggest that it might have been given to them by extraterrestrials that they claimed were gods, such as the Anunnaki. Can the clay tablets containing the star catalog provide evidence that the ancient civilization of Babylon obtained celestial knowledge from star travelers? For centuries, Babylon was one of the most important urban centers of ancient Near East. It continued to thrive under the rule of subsequent kings, including Nebuchadnezzar II, who reigned from 605 BCE to 562 BCE. During his reign, Babylon became one of the most powerful and influential cities in the ancient world. He was best known for his construction of the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, which were one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. According to ancient accounts, the gardens were built by the king in the 6th century BC to please his Median wife Amytis, who missed the lush greenery of her homeland. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon are quite controversial because despite the extensive archaeological excavations of the site, no physical evidence has ever been found. Some historians believe that they may have been a mythical creation, while others argue that they may have been destroyed over time by erosion or plundering. But is it possible to virtually recreate these gardens and see how they looked? Although no physical remains of the Hanging Gardens have been found, historical records provide some descriptions of how the gardens may have looked like. It is believed that they were located on a raised, terraced platform and consisted of a series of lush, green gardens that were arranged in a step-like manner. Although the gardens have been lost to history, their legend has continued to captivate people's imaginations for centuries. Yet another mystery of Babylon is related to the city's legendary king Nimrod, who is mentioned by the Bible. According to biblical accounts, he was a powerful ruler and was the mightiest hunter after God. In Jewish and Christian tradition, Nimrod is considered to be the leader of those who built the Tower of Babel. Some historians believe that Nimrod may have been a real person who lived in ancient Mesopotamia, while others argue that he was a mythical figure created to explain the origins of Babylonian civilization. Now, according to the biblical book of Genesis, the Tower of Babel is a legendary structure that is said to have been built in ancient Babylon sometime after the Great Flood. The story goes that a group of united people who all spoke the same language decided to build a tower that would reach up to the heavens. The tower was meant to be a symbol of their power and a way to make a name for themselves. But was it really that massive, such that it could reach the skies? Some accounts suggest that it reached nearly 300 feet. There are also many different theories about what the Tower of Babel might have looked like and how it was built. Some historians believed that it may have been a ziggurat, a type of stepped pyramid that was commonly used in ancient Mesopotamia. Others suggest that it may have been a multi-story temple or palace. However, God was not pleased with their efforts and decided to stop them by confusing their language, causing them to speak different languages and preventing them from working together. As a result, the tower was never completed and the people were scattered across the world. But is it possible that the purpose of building this tower was not just a symbol of power? While the story is typically interpreted as a warning against human pride and the dangers of trying to reach God, some people have developed a different interpretation that the tower was some sort of a device for creating a portal to another dimension. Interestingly, the word Babel means gate to God, and some researchers believe that this gate to God was some form of an attempt to create a stargate, which the Babylonians were attempting to reach a higher level of consciousness or access hidden knowledge, in a way to really reach God of their sky gods, the Anunnaki. We can't help but be amazed by the astonishing knowledge and advanced technology of the people of Babylon. From their mastery of systems to their astronomical observations and mathematical calculations, the Babylonians were light years ahead of their time. The mysteries and enigmas of Babylon continue to fascinate us to this day, leaving us with more questions than answers. But one thing is for sure, the legacy of Babylon lives on, inspiring us to push the boundaries of human knowledge and understanding, and perhaps one day we'll uncover the truth about the secrets of this ancient civilization, and possibly about their extraterrestrial connections. We bow before you and thank you for watching another episode of Secret Origins. Keep your minds open, and until we meet again.